Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Lon. A lot of you probably already know me, and I'm an immigration lawyer in Canada. And today I have with me two very good career transition coaches, Eleonora Andretta and Brian Epstein. And the reason why I wanted to have an interview with these wonderful people is because of the fact that oftentimes when you're coming to Canada and you're on a work permit or you're a student, in order to get permanent residence, it's very important for you guys to be able to find that right position. And it can be very difficult navigating all the different interview questions and cultural norms. And that's why I thought it would be a good idea to have these experts on here today to give you some guidance on that. And so I just wanted to introduce to you guys, first of all, Eleonora Andretta, who is an executive coach with a Certified Coaches Federation and has been an English teacher as a second language instructor for more than 20 years. She also is a newcomer to Canada. She moved from Italy to Canada in 2016, and she is the author of the book Future Me, Future Team. I think you can see that in the background there, which is 12 steps for traveling light in life. Very, very interesting, okay? And we also have with us today Brian Epstein, who has over 20 years of experience in supporting new Canadians secure work in their fields by helping them in all aspects of your work search. Brian has also experience in teaching career preparation courses and English as a second language to international students at several post-secondary institutions in the GTA as well. So welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone.
All right. So let's get started. All right, you international students, we're going to talk today about how you can start your career and what to do at those interviews and how to deal with some of the very difficult interview questions. And the first one we have today is this dreaded one, this infamous question about how come you don't have any Canadian experience? All right, what do you guys think?
So, Elizabeth, this is a question I've been personally asked, many times. You don't have Canadian experience. And my suggestion is, well, embrace it. If you don't have Canadian experience, you don't have it, but it's good to actually highlight what you do have. And I find that focusing on your experiences, especially in the soft skills department, is very useful. You can say, yes, I don't have Canadian experience yet, but I have very good team management skills. This is what I did. I have very good problem solving skills, and you must be ready to give examples. So I'm pretty sure that you can really come off as really interesting for an employer if you focus on what you do have as opposed to focusing on what you don't have.
And I would add to that when you come to Canada, as soon as possible, try to get involved in Canadian life. And what I mean by getting involved in Canadian life, getting involved in nonprofit organizations that you can volunteer your skills and experience, whether or not it's Cancer Society or many other organizations that you can get involved in. Also join boards. I've worked with other people who have joined, become on board of directors, and that looks like you're involved in making decisions for organizations. So the more involved you are within different organizations, the better it is going to be for launching your career in Canada.
All right. What about if someone doesn't have any work experience at all and they're just starting off, they just graduated, they're just starting off? What do they do about that?
Well, again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of volunteering. Once you volunteer, you will be able to talk about your volunteer experience when you do go to interviews. And again, also, I would also suggest that people look into taking some one of the programs that are in Canada for that there are co-op programs at different colleges that you may be going to. If there are co-op programs and internships, so that you can get some experience and have some firsthand experience about working in the Canadian workplace.
Yes, Brian, those are great tips. And again, Elizabeth, this comes from my personal experience. Compared to other countries, networking here in Canada is huge. It's a huge thing that people really believe in, whether it's online or in person. I would say do it as much as you can. This is what I actually did in person for the first 2 years. I would go everywhere. Don't rule anything out. You might never know. You never know who might be of interest to you. So joining groups like Toastmasters or different associations, chambers of commerce, any networking event will contribute to everything, to the Canadian experience that we said earlier, and also to the actual, networking itself.
Do you guys help people develop networking skills? Because it's not necessarily easy, I think, for a lot of people to go and approach strangers or people they barely know, or people they've been introduced to, or ask people for things. Do you guys help people with that?
Sure. Do you mind if I go first, Brian? This
sure.
is something that Brian and myself talk about all the time, because he comes from a Canadian experience. I come from an international experience, and we always exchange views. You need to improve your networking skills, and you can learn them, and we can train people to do that. We are also big on what not to do, like going to networking events and just giving out business cards. That's not what works. It's about a lot more, right, Brian?
It's about setting up meetings and meeting with people one-on-one. And what Eleonora and I do is we coach people on communicating what to say in the actual message, whether or not you're communicating by email or LinkedIn or meeting with people in person, how to set up that meeting and what to say in that meeting. And I've worked, and I know Eleonora has worked with people that are new to Canada who may be a little bit shy or a little bit nervous in setting up these meetings. So we can help you to do that so that you feel confident, and we have successfully done that.
And just to it's interesting because I met Brian and Eleonora through networking as well. I met Brian through a networking event that we both were there, and then Brian set up a coffee with me, and then we talked about and he told me some things that I thought might help my clients, and then Brian introduced me to Eleonora, so now I know them, and soon we will know our that opens our networking connections to other people. So it totally can be done, guys. You just have to know how to do it.
Sure.
All right. Now let's talk about what about if you are on a completely different career path from where you were before? What if your previous work experience is very different from what you want to do for your career now?
Well, as the slide says, identifying transferable skills is so important. Everybody has certain hard skills or technical skills, we might say, that you can be able to take them from the work that you've done in your previous job and take them to your new job, or some of your soft skills, your ability to work with other people, your communication, your interpersonal skills. So that's so important when you're talking and going for looking for new jobs, to be able to identify and to communicate about those transferable skills.
Mm-hmm. And yes, moving to another country is about embracing change, and it's about keeping your identity, but at the same time acquiring a new one. So that should always be taken on the positive side. Embracing change is always the right step for moving forward. You can always move forward if you embrace change. And that also goes through acquiring new skills. So my suggestion would be, don't be afraid to actually say that, you have a total different experience, but now you're embracing new skills, you're acquiring new skills, you're trying to be a different professional, or you're trying to acquire new knowledge and competence because you want to have your Canadian experience 100%. So again, this is not a negative thing. It's about saying, yes, I do have a different experience, but now I want to improve myself 100%.
All right. Now, what about if you are a little bit hesitant because you haven't been in this country for that long and you don't really know uh, what Canadian culture is, or you're unsure of that. Um, one of the first things I wanted to mention is that Canada is not only a Canadian sort of situation where, that's one culture and that's it. Canada is very multicultural, as you can see just from our speakers today, right? And one of the things that I would encourage you to do is be comfortable in your own uniqueness. People are, we sense other people's uncomfortableness, I think. And for me, I think, I would encourage you guys to be comfortable in your own uniqueness. And, a lot of us, we really like to learn about other cultures and to learn about other backgrounds as well. Now, that being said, however, there are certain social norms and etiquette that you should be aware of when you come to Canada and you're going to go to an interview setting. There are certain things that are expected for people to know. So Brian and Eleonora, you want to talk about like how to deal with that?
Sure, sure. So again, I'd like to stress this once again, because talking is one thing, but then doing is a totally different thing. And I think that, when you join groups and organizations, first of all, you meet other people and you learn about the culture without even realizing it. You learn about, like you said, even workplace etiquette. There is such thing as a Canadian workplace etiquette, and we have to learn about it. So it is true, like you said, Elizabeth, we have to embrace our uniqueness, but then again, it's also about accepting and learning about different requirements. And again, groups like Internations, Talk English Cafe, they're a great tool for newcomers. They have been a great tool for our clients and also for myself. So I really want to stress that once again.
And myself, I would keep on talking about the importance of being assertive in the Canadian workplace. I've worked with people that have come to Canada and have been like, well, I best not to say anything because I'm new to Canada and I don't have a lot to offer. You do have a lot to offer, and it's being confident to express what you have to offer and to say it in a positive way, whether or not you're in the workplace or you're volunteering or you're doing an internship. Be able to speak up, to express yourself in a nice diplomatic way. And again, as Elizabeth has talked about, learning about what's appropriate, acceptable in terms of how to communicate, that's something that Eleonora and I help our clients with as well.
And Brian, wouldn't you say that there is a certain level of Canadian, that's why we put Canadian assertiveness in there, which might be different from what is considered assertive in America or in Europe or in Asia? Isn't there a certain level that is kind of different for Canada?
Yeah, I often talk about every country has their own norms, what's acceptable to assertiveness. So what might be assertiveness in one country may be considered aggressive or overly aggressive in another country. So even if I was to travel and go to a new country, I would want to meet with somebody from that other country so that they can share with me the norms, what's acceptable in being assertive in that country, what's acceptable and what's not. And the same thing here in Canada. There are certain things that may be acceptable here and certain things that may be acceptable in another country, but may not be acceptable in the Canadian culture.
And do you guys also train in assertiveness as well for the Canadian level that we want to have? Yep.
Exactly. Through our coaching and professional development, we want to work with the clients so that they know what's acceptable when they go to the workplace. I've received feedback from clients that I've worked with before from their employer telling me that this client may have been too aggressive or not are not assertive enough. So after sometimes I receive that feedback or the client is shared with me, then we will practice and do role play so that the client will feel comfortable in the work setting and how assertive to be and how and what not to be.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Okay. And what if someone, if English is not their first language, it's a communication tool, and it's very important for someone to feel comfortable. What happens if they're shy and they're not that comfortable speaking English? What kind of advice would you give?
I think it's really important to focus on your the message that you have and not your accent. A lot of people come to Canada. I mean, for example, we're in Toronto right now, but it's in many cities across the country. We have people from all backgrounds, and many people have different accents. So I think a lot of people are shy that they have a different accent, and they should just realize that, it's okay to have a different accent. The point is that we, through our both Eleonora and I have some experience. We have a lot of experience teaching English as a second language, so we can help to improve the confidence in speaking English so that people can focus on the message that they're making, and to help them to improve upon maybe some grammatical mistakes that they may be making. So that's what we do through our coaching as well.
Mhm. Yes, and the thing is, Brian and I actually met at George Brown College, working as instructors for English as a second language. So we have a lot of experience with international students, and this is what we know happens. And the thing is, just like anything, you cannot do it on your own. I mean, just realizing that you have a problem or a challenge is not enough. You need to be coached. You need to have somebody that holds you accountable. So this is definitely where we could help. And shyness can be also a matter of not mastering the language. So that's definitely a tool that needs to be developed, aside from the soft skills, working on the English. Once you know how to say things in a certain way, then the shyness will go away, believe me.
Yeah, I mean, I often have clients who, whose English is their first language, but because they're not verbal, they communicate through other ways. They're not verbal. And it can be difficult even for them to communicate effectively. And so I think that's really good to know. To practice communicating effectively is essentially what your guys are saying, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and the final question we have is, when you go to an interview and you get asked, what is your status? Can you work with us? And how long can you work with us for the long term?
So this is a very interesting question, Elizabeth, and I think people really need your advice on this one. What I can say from the bottom of my heart to everybody who's moving to Canada or thinking of moving here, the first thing to do is find a good lawyer. Again, you can't do it on your own. You cannot do it yourself, although I hear a lot of people saying that. They even told us, oh, you can do it on your own. You can't. It's a matter of finding somebody that you can trust, because these laws change every day. And we know what it means to have a lawyer who does not do his or her job properly. So I guess, yeah, Elizabeth, this is what is more what you have to say about this.
Yeah, so first of all, before you ever even start your job hunt, my advice to you guys is to have a proper consultation on what your options are and what you need to do in order to get your work permit and to get your permanent residence. I have far too many people who come to me too late in the game. Your work permits are limited. You may have a 1-year work permit, which means it's very limited, or even if you have a 3-year postgrad work permit, it's still limited. And so during that period of time, you need to be able to get your work experience and have the proper job offer in order to get permanent residence. I don't go on here talking about how to get permanent residence, but we certainly have a lot of other videos in our website going through that. But so first of all, have a plan as to what you need to do. When you get to the interview, make sure that you have documentation that you can send to them to show that you have the ability to work. Okay. For example, if you've already filed your work permit application, you may not have the work permit in hand, but you have the confirmation to show that you can start working at that period of time, right? Also, have a good lawyer on speed dial. Have a good lawyer who is willing and able to explain to an employer who may not necessarily trust what you're telling them, okay? But they would trust a lawyer because that's our job, to tell them exactly what your situation is, that you're able to work, how long you're able to work, and if they have questions for the long term that you're able to answer. And the third thing that you have to remember is it's not just about the employer interviewing you, it's also about you interviewing the employer and making sure that this job is not going to waste your time. Because like I said, your time is limited and you need to make sure that the position works for you. You may need the employer to also support you in your application. And you may want to make sure that this is the kind of situation that would help you even at the interview stage, okay? Because it's not just about, you have to be selective as well in making sure that you find the right position that will help you get to permanent residence. Okay, so that's about it for questions for this video. Here's our information. And if you let us know that you've come to this webinar, please do let me know when you email me, and we will give you a discount on the consultation with regard to your situation as well. Okay. You guys, do you guys have any final words for everyone?
The only word I would ask is that when anyone is coming to Canada, as Eleonora said before, sometimes we like to think we can do it. People like to think they can do it all by themselves. And just like the people need a lawyer to support them, Eleonora and I are available to make sure the transition to the workplace is more successful and that you can get that job a little bit more easily. So we'd love to help you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. I think, my advice would be, this is a great country, but you need to do things properly. That's the only suggestion I have. This country is very welcoming. So we're here to help you, whatever it is that you need. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's great advice. Really, you guys have to plan, okay? Plan even, before you get to an interview, before you start applying. You need to get to the interview ready, set, understanding what you need to, how you need to present yourself, having your volunteer work experience, having those networking skills, even to get to the interview stage. Okay, so hope you guys enjoy this presentation. All the best with your careers. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.